Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Pro Member Spotlight. I am so happy to be here with you guys again, and I am doubly happy to welcome Mr. Stuttering Guitarist himself back a second time. You might see in some of these Member Spotlight videos that we might be going and returning and checking up on some old favorites. And I'm very, very pleased to be able to reconnect with SG, as I like to call him. How have you been doing, buddy?
Been doing good. It's really good. Miss your table to the touch base again. It's been too long.
Absolutely. But we still keep in touch. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about today is music, specifically about Vacation Radio.
Oh yeah. It was a beautiful platform, and it's been nothing but fun so far.
So for those members who are not aware, Vacation Radio is a new station, a 24/7 station created by WDW Pro and a host of other creatives, including Mr. Stuttering Guitarist. And the entire purpose of it was to, instead of always, discussing the works of others, to actually put themselves out there and to create something that's positive, that is joyful, that is a happy force on this otherwise vast, stormy, cloudy internet that we all exist and type angrily on all the time. And, I think it is really a testament to Pro and his team that they wanted to go and do something like this, not just talk about what others are doing, but get themselves out there and actually create. And that is something which I think is fantastic. And I encourage you all to go and check out Vacation Radio, because if you're feeling down, if you're feeling a little blue, if you're in the office or wherever and it's dark and cold outside, listening to this, I guarantee after 5-10 minutes, you'll be feeling a little bit warmed up again. So on that note, part of Vacation Radio are all of its fantastic songs. And Mr. Stuttering Guitarist is one of the people who contributed it to it. So tell us a little bit about that, please, SG.
Absolutely. So, Pro reached out to me about the project, and I had a couple instrumental songs in the can. Um, I just keep a lot of recordings that I don't release. I have some on iTunes, some on my website.
So whoa, let's back up a little bit here. So you've got a lot of your own music. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So at at about 15, I'd been taking piano lessons since I was 5 or 6 ish, and I started to want to write. And of course, the first ones are awful, but where I cut my teeth was at a little coffee shop in my town. On Thursday nights, I'd play piano and sing a lot of Billy Joel covers, a lot of Elton John covers. And then at age 20 was when I picked up my first guitar. That's when I actually started playing. And I took the philosophy of piano, which is, you think of Santana, you've got riffs and then lyrics and then riffs, and there's this kind of nice back and forth. Um, I produced an album at a famous studio here in Michigan. Ted Nugent recorded there.
Wow.
Some of the guys from the Eagles have recorded there. And then I realized I could do the same thing basically with an iPad and an interface. I'm working on an album right now called Mosaic. Just talking about, and the whole preface of it is just talking about how, yeah, there's broken pieces in your life, but some great art can be created with broken pieces. So you can take things and turn them into something really, really good. And I write all the time. I'll just start typing lyrics, keep them for later, or come up with a melody and I record it. And in this case, inspired by Slash, I created a guitar exercise for string skipping, and it was just this simple. And so I would do that, and then I was like, okay, so I'll add a harmony to that. And then just go into the chords. And it was originally a song I'd written for the church I was working at. It's heavy. I mean, when you hear it on vacation radio, you're like, oh yeah, that's not going to work in church. It didn't fly, but the instrumental version I loved, so I sent it to Pro, and he threw it up on the radio, and I actually got to hear it and see my name's kind of scroll on the bottom. And he asked me, I've sent him, a few different scratch pads, and if there's something that
All right, hang on there. We're not all cool cats. What the heck is a scratch pad?
Okay, so for me, a scratch pad is, and I've got my pedal board here.
And sorry, by the way, I think this is the first time we've had live music on one of these member spotlights before. So this is pretty awesome. Thank you, SG.
I'm hoping to do. I'd heard Culture Casino talk about doing some live music at some point. I love doing it. I'll be playing farmers markets, in the summer. So for me, what a scratch pad is I've got a looper pedal here. You can get them as cheap as sometimes, $50. And let me just make sure it's on loop.
And a looper pad is something that you hit with your feet, and it allows you to loop a continuous beat, kind of like a synthesizer, right?
Exactly. So here I'm going to do the exact loop from the Luke song. So you can see here it goes over and over.
Nice.
So then I take some distortion, just play over it. So that's how I'll do that sometimes for an hour. And
man, that is, I mean, gosh, I love that. I love that. Like it's, I feel like I'm sort of being told what the magic trick is after seeing this, right? Like, and that just sounded so professional. I love that. And so, the whole vacation radio thing, it's not like, all just made up in a synthesizer by some crazy AI. Like, there are people behind this, and particularly you. So sorry, keep going. Ah, man, I could listen to that forever.
Oh, well, first, thank you. I was born in the late 70s, and when my wife and I got married in 1999, so actually our 25th anniversary is coming up. Oh, goodness.
Congrats.
I think you have to remember that one.
Wow.
That's card worthy, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
But I had to save up to buy a simple cassette 4-track player. And now I can use that digital looper pedal, create an idea, create a structure, and then with the iPad, GarageBand is an incumbent program with as many tracks as you want. And I look at what we had to start with, and I ran into musicians growing up who would just put a microphone in the middle of a room and do their best.
Wow.
But now, in fact, the song "Gel," which was that string riff, I recorded the entire thing in my living room. I play the rhythm part all the way through. I'd then send that to a drummer or sometimes GarageBand has good drum patches, but most of the time I'll email that because I don't want to get too far into it, so that a drummer can lay down something nice underneath it. Uh, Usually to my friend Matt over in England. I email the file to England. It comes back with the drums.
So sorry,
So
sorry to jump in here. So is this how it works now? Like you're not just sort of putting up wanted ads on telephone poles saying need a bassist, need a drummer, and meeting up in your garage and going at it. Like you guys are sending files to each other across the planet, and
it is,
each person is sort of adding in their own particular contribution.
yeah. It's so funny because
Wow.
first, I don't want to say the first time, but the platforms are so similar now. Where in the early 2000s, I knew a guy whose only job was to code from US code to like Korean code, and
Okay.
the alterations he'd have to make. That was his whole job. But now they're the similarities are so easy. Everyone uses an MP3 format. Everyone has access to that. So I get these songs back. Sometimes I have them put violin on them if they're more of a ballad. And the way I met him was I was doing radio tours with some of my last songs on internet radio. You just kind of reach out, or there's even a service where you pay and they send your song out, and any stations that like it touch base with you. Well, I heard him play after me on the radio show. I went to his website, said, "Hey, I just heard you. I love it. Would you consider a collaboration?" He's like, "Absolutely."
Cool.
And then I just PayPal him a couple bucks, and when after it's done, he won't take payment until he knows I'm happy, which is that's just awesome.
Oh, interesting. So these are basically like virtual gigs then.
Really, yeah, absolutely are. And during shutdown times, there were bands who would set up stages in their homes so people could feel like they're at a concert. And for me, it's just such a chance to grow, to let someone who's a Celtic, he's all hand drums and guitar and lutes and things, and he'll do rock, but he does a lot of Celtic inspired stuff. All the flavor he injects is something I could never create on my own. So I'm not stuck with everyone who grew up in the same part of Michigan listening to the same music, and it's just it's almost unbelievable how far it's come.
And so do you do that as well? Like do you hire out your guitar services?
Yeah, I haven't in a while, but I did actually some studio sessions at a very small studio near my old hometown, and my buddy Matt knows I'm good for it if he needs anything. And I have my old drummer coming back to the state this summer. That's my cat. He
Oh,
found
no worries.
so my old drummer's coming back, and there were some songs we'd done together that we wanted to sit and jam and do some things on. But like with Pro, I just create what I showed you, a scratch pad.
Uh-huh.
Once I find the melody, the riff of it, I'm thinking of lyrics even if they're not in there. I'm thinking, what is this song saying without saying it? And that's what I love doing. And Pro, I think is a genius beyond what I can imagine, because he'll then send me something he put together with it. I'm like, that's leagues away from what I thought we could do. And it's a fun process. It's a people process, and it gives an outlet to get music somewhere where bands are just starting to tour again, and open mic nights are starting to come back more and more and more. but this has given me a chance to contribute musically, which, you know, was my life's dream. That's what I wanted to do, and I get to do it because of the foresight of Pro and everyone at that Park Place. I think we call it T3PO online now. And
So, on that note, can you tell me a little bit more about the process that you and Pro and the others kind of underwent when it like as it relates to Vacation Radio? So you sent him that thing, he sent you something back. Can you tell us a little bit about like the back and forth there and who else might have been involved as well, if you
I
can?
I don't know who all he got to sing. He didn't tell me who the bass player is,
Okay.
but it was so good. Normally you go back and forth, let's say 5 6 times. It was so good first time out. I was like, just throw it up like that. That very rarely happens.
And is this for Luke or for Gel?
That's for Loop. Gel was all me. I just took that exercise, then took the chords and the lyrics I'd written and turned them into the melody. Let me see if I can just do a quick. And that's the secret sauce. I mean, it was really just,
Nice.
you know, taking the words, converting them into just the melody, and that's such an enjoyable time. You get lost in it. I probably put, let's say, 30 hours into that song of, I can do that better. You know, I can. The bass player I sent it to after I got the drums. I just sent it to my other friend who plays bass. So
Uh-huh.
it muddled. So you send the originals out, so you're not making a copy of a copy of a copy. And he lays down this killer bass line, and I won't say his name because he won't like that I'm telling this, but he was in a legit gigging band back in the 70s.
Oh wow.
He had a velour suit, total. And I said, "What happened to it?" I think he still has it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to judge. I wasn't there.
Yeah. It was a different time.
It was, yeah. Then I see old Bowie clips, and I'm like, "You're fine with that suit, man." David Bowie went nuts on the costume changes, and
Yeah.
but it was fun because when they send it back, the bass player, he's one to say, "Hey, you know, I think maybe the tone needs to be a little lighter or happier on this." And that's just a simple matter of taking like, oh, the 1 4 5 thing, and taking that minor chord out of there. So
Yeah.
instead of this, just doing the, and it's essentially the same song because there's really only one difference in the major chord, the major one chord as opposed to the minor six. But it's little things like that that change the entire feel of what you're trying to portray. And when you do a happy song, if you're going to use a minor chord, use it to build up to a big major finish, you know, and that
Yeah.
that's what I love about this too, is you kind of learn on the job, quote unquote. But for Pro to take one song and put it up, and then to take basically, I have my file folder full of ideas, and write around that was such an honor, and it turned out so good and so much fun. Um, but it is very people oriented. I'd had a couple songs that I kind of hoped would be, uh, something that was suitable. I'm trying to play it cool while I'm retuning. But
So,
go ahead.
well, do you have any like more songs coming up?
Yeah, I just sent him another couple. I'll get the feedback on that. Either, yeah, this is great, or we need you to move um, in this direction. Because there was one song I called "Insomnia on the Beach," and it, it it's a very strange instrumental, and it literally happened. Um, those nights you can't sleep, and if you happen to be on vacation, there's something neat about low tide. You
Yeah.
walk on the beach, and remembering that as a kid, and just those 2 a.m. nights in the summertime where the weather's fine, and you're kind of walking. And I built in um, volume swells, and let's see if I can. And that's the melody of what a grandfather clock plays.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what it sounds like.
Yes, and that's kind of the one of those Easter eggs in that song, that kind of comes in the middle of it. And as I was writing, I could not sleep, and I could not leave it alone in writing. So my dad and my uncle were both clock builders and repairers.
No kidding. No kidding. Really?
Yeah, my uncle was very good at it. I didn't know pocket watches have actual precious gems in them, tiny little rubies and emeralds in oil,
Oh,
and that's how the number of them in the watch determine how good of a watch it is. So you could have an 8 gem, a 9 gem. Very inspiration kind of comes from everywhere, and but that grandfather clock song, if you hear it in the middle of the night, you're like, okay, I'll get 5 hours of sleep, I'll be fine for work. Okay, I'll get 4 hours of sleep. Okay, I don't know if I should even try to sleep now.
oh yeah. I think we've all been there.
Yeah, but I continue to work out on some stuff. One thing that we're a little careful about is stuff that had been previously released, and
Right. You don't want to get struck by that.
yeah, and unfortunately, when you do a copyright, you have to pick an organization like ASCAP, and
Yeah.
so all is through them, and they listen for it. They go out and hunt it down, and
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it's there are some musicians that are way cooler about it than others, where they want to see a little kid play their song on YouTube.
Yeah.
But we'll strike it for for copyright material. I'm sure you've seen people say, okay, I got to turn the volume off on this.
Oh yeah. All the time.
But my favorite thing in the world and all of it, and with this guitar, so I would. I'm just trying to think of kind of something. Okay, so this was a song called "Lay It All Down," and the premise was, this is one of the ones that we talked about, but didn't make kind of the final cut. But this is one where I just took jazz chords. Brother to brother, why does it seem like we are always worlds apart? One to another, could we be wrong about the pain that's in our hearts? If I lay it all down, will you see my hands and arms wide open or be blind? If I lay it all down, would you hate me less if I could learn to love you more? If I lay it all down. And that was the one of the first singles I actually released when I was working at the studio.
SG, you don't see it right now, but I've actually lit one of my legs on fire and I'm holding it up.
Okay, well, you might want to take care of that because
Yeah.
I can do damage. I appreciate it. The quandary to me was sometimes people are angry with each other, but if you try to pin it down, you can't get an answer.
Yeah.
So if I, is there something I can give or do better that, can improve this dynamic? And it was just a thought that was racing around my head. It wasn't going to be recorded, but a radio guy came into the studio that day and he said, "Oh, just play me some of the stuff you've got." And I played that. He goes, "Oh man, you really need to record that one. That's one that you need to, preserve. You never know what'll happen." And it was a lot of fun.
Oh, very good.
So yeah, it's been a great journey, and Vacation Radio really is a spot where Pro gets creative people to create, and he's, this and all the things he can coordinate from the websites to the simulcasts. I don't think he sleeps, but
Yeah, I don't think he does either, actually.
I don't know how he does it all, but not only can he do it, he can do it quickly and brilliantly, and it just turns out nice, and it's just nice to be, a cog in the process sometimes. It's an honor.
SG, I wanted to ask, speaking of cogs, there's a tool that you're using, this blue tool with the neck. No, not that. I'm talking about that guitar there.
Oh yeah, yes.
All right. Okay, tell us about that. Give us the lowdown, because I think that was not that when we first talked, that this was something that you had been working on.
Yeah, so this is called the Stallion. Go to frankstalloneguitars.com. Yes, it's Sylvester Stallone's brother.
Wow.
This is my first, I fully designed it. I think I went through 7 prototypes. And when we finally got it right, all made in America, these pickups are wound in Las Vegas. I use these metallic paint colors because I wanted a guitar to remind me of a GTO from the 60s or 70s, just the GTO General. Actually might have been 67. And I want that sparkly kind of car look. You got the chrome. The pickups were inspired by one of my favorite blues players. And it turned out even better than I'd hoped. And this is actually off the production line. So this is literally, I think they still have 2 blue left. and an orange and a red. So yeah,
So hang on, SG. So you're telling me you created from scratch a guitar for Sylvester Stallone's brother Frank, and they liked it so much
yeah,
that they took the name that they had been saving up for a special product,
yeah.
the Stallion, and they bestowed it upon that guitar.
Yeah, I was shocked. Um, the CEO, Gary, I sent him two versions of it. They went down. Frank actually was live at Norm's Rare Guitars. That's a big YouTube. They have a big YouTube channel for guitar enthusiasts, uh, and they demoed them. And apparently, when GJ showed it to him, Frank said, "Let's just call that one the Stallion," because I'd actually originally called it the Forza, which is Italian for force
Yep.
or muscle, like a muscle car. So it was my muscle car.
And it's
And
also Italian for a video game about cars, I believe.
are you serious?
No, I'm kidding. Well, there is a game called Forza, but anyway, sorry, that was a bad joke. Go on, go on, go on.
Well, yeah. When I, I look at Frank, I did not realize how many albums he'd put out, how many movies he'd been in. You you start to learn. Uh, he did. He was in Tombstone. Actually, got in a fight with Val Kilmer. Said Val was a great guy. He was a poker dealer,
Wow.
and yeah, he's got platinum records. And I think he's got more than 70 film credits, something. But
That's that's wild. Like in what like as an actor?
yeah, he's so good and he's so in love. I really think he's the most at home, like in something like Tombstone. On
Wow.
vacations, he'll go to the Old West. He visited, I think, Jesse James' house. He loves what it took for people to survive in basically the desert.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's I'll say I don't think I could ever finish a round in the boxing ring with him. He's actually a very good boxer, still trains for it. His workouts are still based on those routines. And of course, Sly with Rocky. If you have Rocky 1 or Rocky 2, the scene where the guys are singing around the garbage can at night, the flaming garbage can,
Yeah.
you Frank, that guy kind of looks like Sylvester. Yeah, they're related, and um, he wrote the soundtrack to Staying Alive. The Bee Gees did the main song, but Frank ended up writing his biggest hit, Far From Over, which was really, really big for him, just putting him on the world stage. But his shows, he can still do a 2-hour show. I mean, it'll be everything from Sinatra to rock, and he can do
Wow.
it all, just unbelievably good. And so I was really honored that he would bestow a name that's so important to that family,
Oh
on.
yeah.
So it remains a huge honor for sure.
So I gotta ask, have you ever met Sly?
No, no, not yet. And
Okay.
and I'm a little hmm, I'm a little nervous if that GJ and I talk a lot about GJ is the CEO, about meeting up, and hanging out. Well, he gets invited to the birthday parties.
Oh.
So there's pictures of him with Sly and with Frank, and they're all Italians from the East Coast that moved to California. Well, Sylvester's moved to Florida now. He talked about that in the Netflix series, The Stallones.
Mm-hmm.
And he's apparently, once the camera's on, he's really so good and engaging. But his he loves people that aren't boring. He
Right.
talks about that because his daughters, I guess, were giving him a hard time. You know, you're not talking to our boyfriends. Well, they're boring. You know, so I'm like,
Oh,
that would be it's tough enough to meet the person you're dating's dad anyway. But
and then to be judged as being boring, that's pretty. That's a tough gauntlet.
yeah, that's not a good sign for your future. So,
No.
but they're a tremendous family. They did a trip to Italy together for the second season of that series, and Frank actually did a concert in like an Italian square, and it's incredible how they interact. Um, they're they're different personalities, but you can tell the link there. They're
Right.
just so funny, just so wonderful, and Frank does the best Sylvester Stallone impersonation I've ever heard, and it's
I should hope so.
yeah, yeah.
So so SG, let me just recap for our audience members. The guy who designs guitars for Sylvester Stallone's brother has also created music for Vacation Radio. Like that's pretty darn cool. I gotta say, we got ourselves a like some pretty high spec qualifications here for Vacation Radio. So thank you very much for that. Um, that's really exciting. That's really interesting. And I know you're working on some new products as well, but I don't think you can really show those off just yet. No, but we're going to be holding our breath and in extreme anticipation to see that. Can you hold that guitar up again to the screen because
Oh,
I just want to take another look.
absolutely.
Gosh, look at that. That is gorgeous.
I, I
I love that blue.
this is, and that's the color I wanted. It was my father-in-law was driving me on some back roads, and not to take me out or anything,
Right.
but you say that, and I was just talking about the Italian thing. No, it was not that kind of. There was no shovels, no limestone, and we see this blue GTO General on a lawn, and it was perfect. The guy kept it pristine,
Wow.
and I was like, man, that's. But those cars are so much maintenance. I mean, you got to get a carburetor. No one makes them anymore. So you got
Right.
eBay but this blue was stuck in my mind as this is me for whatever reason. This feels like me, and
Wow.
I really, and I'll just for anyone, the odd shift of this is I never would have done this unless I had been put on disability. I've been on disability since 2016 for a
Yeah.
head injury, and believe me, the pity party was intense.
Yeah.
Uh, but then all these things happened, and this never would have happened if I hadn't gotten hurt. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing, but I'm saying, wow, there are opportunities everywhere, and whatever you're running into isn't going to stop that. It just may change the shape they take, and go for it. It's fun to fail if it's something you love.
That's a quotable right there, I think.
Yeah, sure, put it on a mug, you can have it.
But no, I mean that's really inspiring.
Thank you.
Taking adversity, but also realizing that from that adversity, something unique and something new and something which you never would have expected can come out of that. That's a really healthy attitude to take, I think. And
Oh,
props to you. I'm so impressed. I love the music. I love the guitar. Like really well done, man.
thank you.
I've lit my leg on fire and I'm lifting it up again.
Well, and I'll give my wife a lot of credit because she had dealt with with things. We'd been to the Mayo Clinic,
Yeah.
I think 9 times in 2 years, and you feel bad for yourself and for what we were dealing with. But then you see a 2-year-old in a radio flyer, with oxygen.
Yeah.
That kid should be outside playing. That my stuff is, it is.
Puts it into perspective.
It does, and I realize now, reaching out to Pro, telling him how much I loved his channel. He gave me a chance to write articles. I would do some nostalgia pieces. Now he's letting me create music and for the channel while I do my own thing still, and I got to do this out of the blue, and it's just learning to look and say, hey, is there a fit for me here? Is there? And you get a lot of no's, but when you get that yes, that makes it just that much better.
Oh, that's great. Well, look, SG, on that note, I want to thank you for the wonderful live music and for taking the time to speak with me again. It was really interesting. It was great to catch up and to see what's new and to see that guitar finally realized and in your hands and to hear her play. Folks, if you like stuff like this, if you want to see more member interview, let us know. Give us your comments down below. Have you listened to Vacation Radio? Do you want to hear specific songs on there? Do you want to ask any questions to the songwriters, the producers, the creators? Do you want to create a song? I don't know. Let us know. Also, if you would like to be the subject of a member spotlight, I would be extremely happy to talk to you, to get to find out what your story is and to share it with the community that is growing by leaps and bounds here. So drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. And on that note, until next time, thank you, SG. Hope you have a wonderful week ahead and keep listening to Vacation Radio. How's that for a plug?
Absolutely. Absolutely.